Jack observed his tee shot sailing down the fairway's center, his consistent style evident. Despite its brevity, it was straight and precise. After the others teed off, it was my turn. With a brief practice swing, I aimed for the distant hole, opting to test my luck. As a dedicated powerlifter, my bench press prowess surpassed my college days, impressing even gym regulars. Equipped with a new graphite driver, I struck the ball perfectly, leaving Jack astonished. "Eric, that's a monstrous 350-yard drive. We're looking at an eagle opportunity," Jack exclaimed, stunned. With only 2 eagles under my belt, I felt confident. As we advanced, Jack's game lagged, interrupted by a troubling message on his phone. Recognizing Jack's hearing difficulty, I informed him of the text, which drained color from his face. Urgently, he requested to return to the office, withholding details. As Jack's subordinate at Whitman Enterprises, a family-run pump manufacturing business, I held a significant role, overseeing production as the vice president. Allison, Jack's daughter, worked with me in sales. With rumors swirling about a Swiss buyout, I assumed that was the reason for Jack's urgency. After driving him to the office, I headed home. While stopped at a light on a historic cobblestone street, I witnessed an elderly woman stumble and fall. Reacting quickly, I parked, rushed to her side, and lifted her gently, noticing her injuries and comforting her as she cried. "I'm here to help," I assured her, promising to take her to the hospital. She confirmed her pain was mainly in her arms and hands, suspecting a broken arm. Seeing her distress broke my heart, bringing tears to my eyes. Offering reassurance, I suggested getting her more eggs and assisting her into the truck for a hospital visit. But her inability to afford health care made her decline, leaving me feeling awful. Despite her plight, her beauty and vulnerability were evident, reminding me of my own mother. Determined to assist, I insisted on taking her, promising to sort out the financial aspect through my wife's connections at the hospital. Helping her into the truck, I gathered her groceries, learning her name was Samantha Groves, a widow. Upon reaching the emergency room, I stopped, ready to ensure she received care. While my wife Cindy was on duty, I escorted Samantha inside the hospital. Alerting Kirsten at the desk, I assured her I'd handle the expenses. Kirsten promptly assisted Samantha to a bed, while Rachel tended to her injuries until the doctor arrived. Though they tried to usher me out, Samantha insisted I stay. Offering to help her call someone, I retrieved her phone from her purse in the car. Realizing she was out of minutes, I lent her my Android. Guiding her through its use, she tearfully contacted someone named Cecilia for assistance. Concerned about Cindy's absence, I inquired with Rachel, who explained she had left for lunch unexpectedly. Confused by the timing, I returned to Samantha, comforting her as we awaited Cindy's return. "Who did you call?" I inquired. "My granddaughter," she replied. "She's in college and will be here soon. Then you can leave." "Nonsense," I assured her. "I'm off work now. You'll have a new friend today. You'll recover soon with a cast on your arm." Samantha giggled and hugged me gratefully. As we spoke, a voice interrupted, inquiring about her new companion. It was Cecilia, Samantha's granddaughter, who praised my assistance. Samantha credited me as a good Samaritan who came to her aid, introducing me as Eric Hollister. Expressing my frustration at the delayed medical attention, I demanded action from Rachel, who hesitated. Fed up, I instructed her to call Olivia, my daughter, who worked as an intern and could provide the necessary care. Reflecting on Cindy's absence with Dr. Pierce, I felt a surge of anger and confusion. Our first date happened around 6 months after we met. Cindy and I became lab partners in biology class, where I was struck by her beauty. Tall, with dark hair, fair skin, and the bluest eyes. After lab, I invited her for coffee, then mustered the courage to ask her out. Our initial dates were simple, dinner and a movie, but I was just 19. 6 months into dating, I encountered Cindy with another guy, George Cooper, at a restaurant. Feeling betrayed, I left without a word, packing her belongings and avoiding her for days despite her attempts to reach out. Even at school, I dodged her, seeking refuge with my professor. When she waited for me outside class, I maneuvered to avoid her again. However, on Saturday morning, I found her asleep outside my door, stirring a mix of emotions within me. I strode down the hall, unintentionally alerting her. She chased after me, embracing me from behind, demanding answers. "Why the avoidance?" she cried, questioning if I had found someone else. "No," I replied, suggesting she reach out to Cooper, knowing he might have job openings. She was incredulous, explaining their platonic relationship. Misunderstanding, I accused her of inappropriate behavior, leading to a heated exchange. Hurt, she walked away in tears. Days passed before we crossed paths again. Despite my jealousy, I stood my ground. When she knocked on my door later, I hesitated but eventually relented, allowing her in to talk. She stood silently, avoiding my gaze. "I'm sorry, Eric. I didn't realize it would upset you." "It won't happen again," she apologized. I questioned her about the lunch date, expressing my belief that such interactions could lead to trouble. She defended it as innocent, citing their long-standing friendship. I emphasized the importance of communication in our relationship, stating my rule against one-on-one lunches with the opposite lovemaking. Accepting her apology, I walked away, prompting her to chase after me in disbelief. I admitted to my jealousy, unsure if our values aligned. Frustrated, she pleaded with me, questioning the significance of our bond. Reflecting on her words, I paused, contemplating our relationship's future. "I think that's too much. I'm still upset, but let's try to work through it. We need to communicate if we're having dinner with someone else," I stated. Over time, our relationship improved, but senior year brought new challenges. Campus life didn't suit me. I focused on academics and had few friends, including Patrick Kelly, who persuaded me to attend a soccer game. We sat in prime seats, courtesy of Patrick's dad. After the game, I spotted Cindy in the student section, unaware she'd be there. As I approached, I saw her with George Cooper, laughing and holding hands. Stunned, I walked away, ignoring her calls and leaving Patrick behind. She caught up to me in the parking lot, grasping my arm desperately. "Eric, please listen," she pleaded. "I don't care, Cindy. Let go," I interjected, determined to avoid her explanations. Tears welled in her eyes as she reluctantly released me. Ignoring her protests, I walked away, leaving her behind in tears. Despite her incessant calls and camping outside my apartment, I remained resolute, seeking refuge with Patrick. During Christmas break, I avoided her visits, instructing my parents to do the same. Transferring schools and relocating to Austin, I distanced myself from Cindy, only hearing of her through friends. Months later, her father appeared at my workplace, prompting my return to Central Texas. As I approached my car and saw him standing there, I hesitated before deciding to face the inevitable. He acknowledged that he was the last person I wanted to see, but pleaded with me as a father, expressing concern for his daughter's well-being. He admitted her mistakes and her deep affection for me, urging me to consider talking to her to help her move on. Feeling sympathy for him, especially since he had been my baseball coach in 6th grade, I agreed to listen. I expressed my frustration with Cindy's actions and my confusion about how to proceed. He understood and simply asked me to hear her out. Grateful, he thanked me, but I insisted that I owed him for coaching me. I agreed to meet with Cindy, setting a time for Friday morning. We dined at Cheddar's, where I paid for her meal, though I dreaded the conversation I knew would follow. Despite my reluctance, she praised George, prompting me to question the nature of our date. Seeing them together at Chili's confirmed my suspicions. She insisted they were just friends, hoping we could all get along. Refusing to accept this, I ended our relationship, recalling my warning about being alone with him again. Frustrated, she defended George's character, sparking an argument. Fed up, I abruptly left, tossing money on the table. Unaware she was following, I reached my car and locked the door, signaling the end of our encounter. She attempted to open the car door, but I ignored her and started the engine. She rushed over and opened my door, questioning if I would abandon her. Offering to call her a cab, I refused to engage in further conversation, suggesting she talk to Cooper instead. Apologizing, she promised not to be alone with him again, but I dismissed her, stating it was too late and expressing my frustration with her lack of respect. I arranged for a cab and left her behind. 3 weeks passed without any contact from her. During a weekend visit to my parents' house, I was unexpectedly confronted by them. Cindy, her parents, and even the pastor gathered for what seemed like an intervention. Feeling dumbfounded, I entered the room to find everyone staring at me, unsure of what was about to unfold. My younger sister, Chris, rushed to greet me with her usual affectionate gestures. At 15, she was a sweetheart. Taking my hand, she guided me to my seat, humorously referring to it as my throne. Pastor Robbins took the lead, though I found him overbearing. Cindy spoke gently, expressing understanding but urging me to listen. Then it was my father's turn. Surprised, I commented on their open marriage, catching them off guard and deviating from their prepared script. "Are you accusing Mom and Dad of infidelity?" "I never suspected that," she admitted, blushing. "Why would you say that?" she responded defensively. "There's no need to be rude. Your father didn't mean that. We all have friends of the opposite lovemaking." "It's normal," she clarified. "Okay, thanks for the clarification. Can I speak now?" I inquired. They all nodded in agreement. "All right, this has been enlightening," I remarked. I appreciate you all being here to explain things to me. I realize now how unreasonable I've been. I just need some time alone to think. You can wait here. I'll return in about 10 minutes, I stated. As I stood up, Cindy approached and kissed my cheek while Chris looked on cheerfully. I ascended the stairs to my bedroom, Chris following behind with my suitcase and computer. Outside, she asked, "You're not coming back, are you?" "No, sweetheart," I confirmed, hugging her. "I love you, but I'm done with this situation. Call me and I'll pick you up. We'll go somewhere, just the two of us." "All right, Eric," she said, kissing me. "I love you too. I'm sorry they embarrassed you." "It's not your fault, honey," I reassured her. "I'll catch you later." Giving her one last squeeze, I backed out of the driveway, rolling down the window. "Take a walk, sweetheart," I suggested. "Give me some space to clear my head." She nodded and strolled down the street. 20 minutes later, the phone rang. It was Mom. "Hey, Mom," I answered. "Where are you? Is Chris with you?" she inquired. "She's out for a walk," I replied. "I'm just passing through Hillsborough." She paused for a moment. "But you said you'd be back soon," she reminded me. "Well, I've decided otherwise," I stated. "Feel free to carry on without me." "Oh, Mom. From now on, only Chris can contact me. No letters, visits, or psychic messages about my unreasonableness," I declared. "Goodbye, Mom." "Eric, wait," she pleaded. "I love you, dear. Please forgive me. I only want what's best for you. Let's talk." "I think I'm quite capable of deciding what's best for myself," I retorted. "Goodbye, Mom." "Perhaps you can chat with one of your male friends," I added before ending the call. A minute later, another call came in, but I ignored it. Over the next 5 minutes, I received 5 more calls, all unanswered. The 6th was from Chris. "Hey, kitten." "What's up?" I asked. "They made me call you, Eric," she explained. Hearing noise in the background, I interrupted. "You should be ashamed." Maybe my family would be better off marrying Cindy. They all seem to share her sense of reason. Over the next 3 days, my desk overflowed with messages from my secretary, filled with voicemails, emails, and notes. Cindy's family, my parents, and Cindy herself bombarded me with calls, all expressing various levels of anger and desperation. Despite the initial silence from my dad and my mom's tearful apologies, Cindy persisted in pleading for another chance, promising to change and avoid situations that made me uncomfortable. However, I adhere strictly to my personal code, avoiding spending time alone with female friends while in a relationship, as it can lead to complications. Certainly, I attended business and social events involving women other than Cindy, but I refrained from taking them out for meals or embracing them. If they had partners, we socialized together. If not, we didn't socialize. Why risk putting oneself in a compromising situation? My father instilled this principle in me from a young age. You date with the intention to marry, being mindful of who you spend time alone with and who you enter into relationships with. It's a conscious decision. Excuses like, "I didn't mean for it to happen," make me nauseous. I consciously chose to be faithful to one woman, and my partner made the same choice. If I seem rigid, so be it. Over the next week, I went on a few enjoyable dates, feeling relieved when Cindy wasn't around. It was freeing not to wonder about her whereabouts or lunch companions. Returning to McKinney, I stayed at a hotel and planned a weekend outing with Chris to Six Flags. As I pulled up, Chris urged me to hurry, but Mom unexpectedly dashed from the sidewalk and leaped onto the car's hood, halting my departure. Reluctantly, I rolled down the window, asking what she wanted. She implored me not to leave until she spoke. Tearfully, she apologized, expressing deep love and pleading for forgiveness. Touched, I suggested we spend the following Saturday together. Excitedly, Mom agreed, eager for a trip to IKEA and outlet stores, her smile radiating happiness. Chris, less enthused about IKEA but excited for the outlet stores, chimed in eagerly. We had a blast at Six Flags, eagerly anticipating the next weekend. Work went smoothly that week. I was adjusting to the challenges at the foundry, receiving encouragement from Jack. During the same week, I met his daughter, Allison. Arriving in McKinney, Mom and Chris hopped into the car, brimming with joy. Mom began to apologize, but I interrupted, suggesting we hit the shops. Treating them to clothes, I jokingly warned Mom against buying low-quality furniture. We enjoyed burgers, making it a good day. Despite my warning, I ended up bringing home some cheap furniture. Just lamps. I teased Mom about assembling them herself due to the confusing instructions. On Monday, after stopping for a beer, I found Cindy unexpectedly sitting on my apartment stairs. Annoyed, I decided not to let her drive me away from my home. Wondering why she was there midweek, I recalled she was in her final year of becoming a physician's assistant. "Can we talk?" she asked. "What's on your mind, Cindy?" I inquired. "I want to make things right," she stated. I couldn't help but smile. "I appreciate the clarity," I replied, resigned to address the issue. Opening the door, I motioned for her to enter. As I sat on the couch, she positioned a chair in front of me. "I'm asking for another chance," she pleaded. "That's not an option," I responded firmly. "Why does everyone else get one?" she questioned. "Others regretted their actions and apologized," I explained. "Me too," she admitted. "I've said sorry countless times, Eric." "You knew how I felt," I countered. "I expressed it clearly." "I was foolish," she admitted. "Your stance seemed too extreme to be sincere." Frustrated, I exclaimed, "The word unreasonable disgusts me. Maybe I am, and I'm content with that. If you're not, there's the door. I don't see it as unreasonable to expect my partner not to dine alone with other men or attend games with them. It's just common sense to me. If that's considered unreasonable, then that's who I am," I stated firmly. "I get it now," she replied. "How can I make things right? What can I do to reconcile?" Cindy appeared unwell, her vibrant hair lacking its usual luster and her face showing signs of fatigue. She seemed on the verge of tears. "If you start crying, I'll ask you to leave," I warned her. After composing herself, she spoke. "Eric, I'm deeply sorry. I never intended for this to happen. I didn't go to the game with him. I went with my girlfriends, and he happened to be there. We were all chatting, and he offered me a ride back to my dorm. That's all." "I believe you," I assured her. "Then why won't you talk to me?" she asked, puzzled. "I'm willing to discuss anything except us," I clarified. "I thought you didn't want to talk about anything else," she whimpered. "I want to talk about us," she pleaded. "You went with him in the car, so why is this such a big issue?" I challenged her. "My friends don't ride alone with men. I understand it's work-related, and I'm not unreasonable about it. I thought I made that clear. I avoid being alone with other women, just as I expect you not to be alone with other men. You seem to be following the wrong manual, Cindy. It was just a trip," she defended. "How did you get to the game?" I inquired. "I went with Julia," she admitted. "Then why not stick with Julia?" I pressed. She paused, then replied, "I don't know." "Exactly," I pointed out. "He separated you from the group, left you alone. That's how it begins. You allowed it. You knew I wouldn't approve if you thought about it. That's the problem," I stated. "I've made mistakes, but I can learn from them," she conceded. "Eric, I see what you're getting at now. I hadn't realized. Do guys really do that?" "How did we even get together?" she questioned. "You accepted my offer for a snack after lab," she reminded me. "Who else was there?" I probed. "Julia and Robin," she answered. "You've isolated me, haven't you?" I pointed out. "That's exactly it. That's how it starts. I had you alone, just us. That's how it begins. That's what Cooper wanted. I played right into his hands, didn't I?" she acknowledged. "Yes, Cindy, you did. I can't accept that. I can't always monitor to ensure you don't end up alone with another man. It's your responsibility, and you're not handling it well." "I'm really sorry," she admitted. "I didn't grasp the situation before. It all makes sense now. He's been calling me incessantly. Eric, if you give me another chance, I promise this won't happen again." "I did give you another chance," I reminded her, "and you blew it." "Yes, but I didn't understand then," she insisted. "I couldn't comprehend why you reacted that way. But I do now. I won't let it happen again." "All right, let's say I believe you. What's next?" I inquired. "Would you go out with me on Friday?" she asked, avoiding eye contact. "Okay, what time?" I responded, still skeptical. My doubts persisted until I overheard a conversation by chance. Heading home from work, I stopped by the grocery store for a few bottles of wine. The wine section's tall racks obscured my view. As I turned, I spotted a couple of guys on the adjacent aisle, one of them being George Cooper. Their voices carried more than necessary. "What happened with that girl you were pursuing?" an unfamiliar voice queried. "You mean Cindy?" Cooper replied. "Yeah, she was hot," the other guy commented, mentioning her boyfriend was an idiot. Cooper explained, "I was close to sealing the deal when he caught us together. He caused a scene, and now she won't even talk to me, but it won't last. I'll keep calling her until she gives in. I'll keep at it." I was surprised. Cindy kept her promise, which impressed me. She had her chance and passed the test, making it easier for me to move forward. I also dealt with Cooper, though it's tough to make calls with a cast on my arm. He had another tough year and lost his scholarship. That was 27 years ago. Until around age 5, Cindy stayed true to her word. Then someone gave her a book that changed everything. The book delved into the differences between men and women, which shocked me. Did people really buy into this? It felt like paying $29.99 for someone to state the obvious. Cindy embraced the idea that men often fail to understand women's needs, leading to emotional deprivation. We spent hours discussing nonsense and collecting pointless books. We watched movies meant to highlight my insensitivity and read highlighted passages from her books. The obsession grew, all centered on the idea that women need emotional fulfillment, which their husbands supposedly can't provide. Cindy believed this was the key to true happiness and had been striving for it for 5 years. Despite this, her behavior hadn't changed much. She spent time with other women but avoided being alone with men, a rule we both followed. We understood exceptions for emergencies, work, and family, but never spent leisure time alone with the opposite lovemaking. That is, until the day I learned about Cindy's prolonged exploration into Daddyland. Olivia pulled my hand and I wrapped my arms around her. "Hey, sweetie. Sorry for getting sidetracked. Olivia, meet Samantha and Cecilia. Samantha's injured. Can you assist them? Where's Mom?" she asked. "That's a good question," I replied. "We'll discuss it later. Can you help Samantha get cleaned up?" "Sure," Olivia nodded, turning to Samantha. "So why are you with the ignoramus?" She gestured towards me. "He's helping me, and you should show more respect for your father," Samantha scolded. Olivia snorted. "He's not respectable, but I love him dearly. Is that enough?" Samantha's eyes sparkled. "I can see that, dear. He's been wonderful to me. He brought me here, got me settled in this nice room with kind nurses. You don't need to stay, Mr. Hollister. Doctors Olivia and Cecilia will take care of me." "It was nice meeting you, Samantha, but if you call me Mr. Hollister one more time, I'll take you back," I grinned. "My name is Eric. I'll be checking you out. I have your groceries in my truck. What should I do with them?" "You can—" "No, I can't ask you to," Samantha hesitated. "Can't ask what?" I inquired. Cecilia intervened. "Could you take them to our house? We can't let them spoil. Her grandson is there. He'll let you in." She escorted me to the hallway and whispered, "Eric, I'm so grateful for your help with Grandma." She kissed my cheek, hugged me tightly, and whispered, "You're a very kind person." I patted her shoulder and left. As I left the ER, I spotted Cindy and Pierce approaching. A column blocked my view, but their conversation echoed. "This is bad, Elliot," Cindy fretted. "Really bad. We've got to fix this. We'll say it was a board meeting. He can't know about us yet. He's clueless," Pierce insisted. "You're wrong," Cindy countered. "He's smarter than we think. Our only hope was his ignorance. Remember, we planned a board meeting. Julia will vouch for it." I felt dumbfounded. I hadn't suspected a thing. Walking to my truck, I realized I was heading the wrong way. Correcting my path, my phone rang. Cindy. I ignored it. Locating the address, I found a small white house with a vinyl fence. Carrying the groceries, I rang the bell. A slender black man answered. "Are you Samantha Groves' grandson?" I asked. "Yes, how can I help you?" he replied, his voice catching my attention. "She had an accident and I brought her groceries," I explained. "My sister asked me to bring these," I added, corrected by his response. "She's my cousin," he clarified. "My mistake. Would you mind putting these away for her?" I requested. "Sure," he agreed. Glancing at me, he invited, "Want to come in?" "No, I'm in a rush," I declined. "Are the eggs broken?" he inquired. "Yes, but I promised to replace them," I replied, seizing the chance to return when Samantha was home. Time to get busy. I visited Julia's house, but she seemed surprised to see me. "Paul's not here," she said anxiously. "I came to talk to you," I replied. Just then, Paul arrived. "Well, I guess he's here now," I remarked as he approached. He greeted me warmly and suggested we enjoy a beer on the porch. Julia brought out Paul's homemade pale ale, and as she turned to leave, I stopped her. "I need to talk to you, Julia," I insisted. She glanced nervously at Paul. "I'm in the middle of making dinner," she said. "Can we talk later?" "Now's the time," I insisted. "I want to hear it straight." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Please, Eric, don't make me say it," she pleaded. "Cindy's having an affair with Pierce," I revealed. "And Julia's been covering for her." Paul was furious, but it was unclear if it was directed at me or Julia. "What's happening here?" he demanded. "Julia, is this true?" "I won't cover for her," Julia sobbed. "I'm so sorry, Eric. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't know how. I didn't want you to get hurt." I hugged her, reassuring her it wasn't her fault. Do you know how long this has been going on? I asked. No, I just found out, she confessed. Well, I'm sorry for dragging you into this, I said. Paul offered support, even suggesting a family lawyer if needed. I thanked them and apologized once more. Dreading going home, I feared facing Olivia without Cindy. Did she know and cover for her mom? I needed to find out, though it would be painful. I called ahead for dinner and we ate together, discussing Samantha's accident. Despite my turmoil, I held Olivia close, tears flowing. Concerned, she asked what was wrong. Reassuring her, I asked if she knew about her mom. Tearfully, she confessed her suspicions, unable to prove anything. We pledged to confront Cindy together, ready for whatever came next. Olivia's unwavering support gave me strength, reassuring me that we'd face this challenge together. She embraced me tightly, declaring her loyalty. The idea of her mother's deceit pained her deeply, fueling her anger. I shared her sentiment, but urged restraint. We laughed at the suggestion to change the locks, knowing it might not be permanent. Olivia insisted on facing the situation together, emphasizing her stake in the family. We decided to wait at home until Cindy arrived, comforting each other through tears. Despite the turmoil, having Olivia by my side gave me strength. We adjusted to our new reality and waited, finding solace in each other's company. As we watched a movie, we noticed Cindy's car approaching, signaling the start of a new chapter in our lives. She appeared visibly nervous upon entering the house and seeing us together. Olivia remained beside me, her arms wrapped around my neck. Cindy attempted to brush off the tension, acknowledging our wait. As she moved to kiss Olivia, she was met with a firm refusal. Olivia's words cut through the tension, exposing the truth. Cindy then requested a private conversation, but I declined, insisting we were fine where we were. Seating herself across from us, Cindy mustered the courage to confess her relationship with Elliot Pierce. She stressed that it was separate from our marriage and assured me it wouldn't affect us. Despite her explanation, I felt the weight of her words sinking in. Olivia chuckled. Yeah, right. Let's be real, Mom. Olivia, this doesn't involve you, Cindy asserted. It's about your father and me. So when are you planning to move in? I questioned Cindy. What are you talking about? She replied. I'm not moving out. Why would I? Because we'll need a new place to live after the divorce, I explained. Olivia and I will find another home. Divorce! Cindy exclaimed. We're not getting divorced. I don't want that. Your disregard for us led to this, I stated firmly. What have I done to make you think I'd agree to this? No, we're divorcing, Cindy. It's going to be messy, and afterward, you'll face the consequences. Why are you being like this? Can't you understand my needs? She protested. It doesn't have to ruin us. I love you and want to be together forever. Well, too bad life doesn't always go your way, I remarked. I wanted a faithful wife, not one cozying up to that idiot Pierce. Did anyone bother to check if I wanted to play second fiddle to him? I don't recall that conversation, Eric. I feel like being promiscuous. Hope you don't mind, I continued sarcastically. When was that discussion? Livy, did you hear that? No, I didn't, Livy replied. Did you actually say you wanted to be promiscuous to Dad? Mom, this is absurd. Cindy stood up. Clearly, neither of you are acting mature. When you grow up, we can talk. If you're just going to hurl insults, we might as well not talk at all, okay? I don't care to hear from promiscuous people anyway, Olivia retorted. So when are you leaving, Mom? I've always thought Dad would be better off alone. He's great. I'm not leaving, Cindy shouted. Stop saying that. Oh, you're definitely leaving, I declared. Maybe to hell, I hope. Maybe they have vacancies. My prediction? You'll be gone in a week. You act like a virtuous, loving man, but you're not. Now that we see you for who you really are, you can't stand to be around us. You're just rotten, Cindy. You have no moral compass. We all see it now. I'm going to tell everyone, our friends, family, colleagues, everyone, and I'll enjoy it. How long do you think you can endure that? You won't spill the beans, she insisted. It'd just be too awkward for you. You need time to adjust to the idea that you'll be thrilled. You won't be injured at all. I swear. I love you, Eric, and I'll do anything to keep you happy. Olivia burst into laughter. You're completely clueless, aren't you? You're wreaking havoc on our family, your husband, and your marriage. No, you'll only make him miserable. His happiness is now my mission. I couldn't help but express my gratitude by hugging her tightly. I had to let off some steam. Cindy, remember George Cooper? Her face went pale. It's George Cooper, the permanent one. Good luck with your future. You might even run into him again. Seems you're not too choosy about your bedfellows. You idiot, she retorted. How dare you bring that up? It's not like that at all. And you're the only man I've ever been with. I didn't sleep with Elliot." Olivia and I exchanged looks. I was taken aback. Did I believe her? Did it even matter? I decided it didn't. "So, what's holding you back?" I inquired. "Yes," she replied. "I need you to accept it. Elliot and I have discussed it. If you truly love me, you'll be happy for me finding such emotional solace. He doesn't mind that I love you and wouldn't leave you. It just fulfills my emotional needs." Olivia was beside herself. "Oh my God," she gasped. She couldn't stop laughing. "Mom, I never knew you were like this. Where did you get this nonsense? Did that awful creep Elliot put it in your head? God, I hope I didn't inherit any of your genes." Cindy blushed, and I thought she might explode with anger. "Olivia, go to your room," she ordered. "I won't tolerate your disrespect." "Are you serious?" Olivia retorted. "I'm 25, a grown woman. You can't send me to my room. I pay my house payment quarterly, just like you. I have my own wing. Why don't you go to yours?" "Oh, wait, that's Daddy's room. Maybe you'll stay in a guest bedroom until the divorce." "I despise cheaters, and you're one of them. I hope that idiot was worth it. You know he troubled every woman in the hospital, including your daughter." "That's a lie," Cindy shouted. "He loves me. You're just trying to hurt me. Why are you both such idiots? Don't you want me to be happy?" "I need to address this before it escalates," I said. "Cindy, you're only making things worse. Stop talking. I want you to find happiness, even if it means leaving. You need to let go of having it all. You've crossed a line. If being with me was part of your self-fulfillment, you've ruined it. Maybe you can find that with Pierce. He seems hard to satisfy, though. He's about to lose his job. Maybe he'll have some money after the divorce, but I doubt it. I wouldn't be surprised if you lose your job, too. Her father's the AMA president. When they find out what you've done, it could get ugly." "We haven't done anything," she protested. "There's no reason for any of this. You lied to me, tried to get Julia to lie for you, planned to deceive me along with that miserable man, and showed professional dishonesty. None of you were on duty during the emergency you were supposed to cover. I doubt the board would approve. Both of you could lose your license." "We didn't do anything wrong," she began to panic. Their plans seemed to be falling apart. "Besides, I don't believe you weren't enjoying yourself with him," Olivia said. "You lied about everything else." "I didn't have lovemaking with him. I'm not lying," she said. "Why should we believe anything you say?" I asked. "At least you were going to. This is just as bad. You see the problem? We don't believe you. That's what happens when you start lying. Nobody trusts anything you say. Worse, you tried to get Julia to lie for you. I overheard you planning those lies. Cindy, I think you should see if Pierce has any more good ideas." "I'm not going anywhere," she said. "You'll probably change the locks while I'm gone." Olivia and I exchanged a glance, struggling to contain our laughter. Cindy didn't understand our amusement, but she didn't appreciate it. "I don't know what you find funny, but I don't find any humor in this," she muttered. "No, it's an inside joke," I said. "The situation isn't funny. It's pathetic. You're pathetic, Cindy. Now back off." Olivia and I were occupied. She was yelling and crying, but Olivia just raised the TV volume. We ignored her. Finally, she heated up some chicken in the kitchen. Returning, she tried to sit with us on the couch, but we moved to my big chair. Eventually, she gave up. "Fine," she shouted over the TV. "Act like spoiled brats. I'm going to bed." When she reached the bedroom door, she found it locked. Olivia turned off the television briefly. "Your stuff is in the blue room," she said warmly. "That's Daddy's room." She turned up the volume again, and Cindy just stood there watching us. Then she left for the hallway. After she closed the door, I kissed Livy, and we went to bed. In the morning, I left for work before they got up, but nothing was happening there. Jack was in a meeting and left an order for me to take the day off. That was fortunate because I had an appointment with Paul's partner, Jasmine Albright. She was impressive. Tall, slender, with blonde hair and radiating class. She got me sorted quickly. The rest of the day, I ran errands, visiting various places around town at her request. I was exhausted. I had one more stop to make. I went to the grocery store and bought 3 dozen eggs. At Samantha's house, Cecilia greeted me warmly. Samantha was delighted to see me. We sat together, drinking coffee and eating muffins, chatting. Samantha expressed her love for Olivia repeatedly. We discussed Cecilia's studies. She aspired to become an educational administrator, aiming to transfer to a 4-year school after finishing community college and working hard for a scholarship. I found myself admiring her spontaneously. With her huge brown eyes, small face, and curly mop of hair covering one eye, she resembled a magical creature from a fantasy drawing. Although our conversation was brief, I promised to visit them again soon, feeling like I'd gained two good friends. Livy was at home when I returned, and I invited her over for a barbecue, updating her on my day. She mentioned that Pierce had taken Cindy out for a while, likely strategizing. I focused on my plans, ignoring Cindy when she returned home later. In the morning, I found a note from her expressing a need to talk and asking me to wait. That night, work resumed as usual, but I felt off. Allison approached me about sales issues, but I couldn't focus. After noticing my distraction multiple times, she inquired about what was bothering me. "I'm sorry, Allie, I'm not myself today," I confessed. "You better tell me what's going on," she insisted. "Well, I'm getting a divorce," I admitted. Shocked, she demanded to know what happened. "I didn't do anything," I clarified. "But Cindy came home and declared she's seeing that creep Pierce. She claims it won't affect our marriage, but she needs to fulfill her own needs." "Good Lord," Allison exclaimed. "What does that even mean?" "I have no clue," I replied. She rambled about emotional fulfillment, insisting she hasn't slept with him yet but plans to, and she expects me to support her happiness. Allison poured us some bourbon and joined me, exuding sensuality with every move. She was stunning, with a body that left men mesmerized. Despite the tension between us, she became one of my closest friends, also sharing a bond with Olivia. "What's your plan?" she inquired. "No revenge schemes, right?" I chuckled. "Nah, just want closure and move on. Too exhausted for plots. Pierce will face consequences, legally. Not worth my energy to physically confront him. If they left me alone, things would have been fine." Allison kept me company, boosting my spirits. She insisted on dinner Friday. Arriving home, I heard yelling. Cindy and Pierce were on the couch as Olivia confronted them. Pierce's push led to a brawl, but Olivia and I swiftly escorted him out. He left in pain, Olivia found it amusing, and we went our separate ways. On the porch, Cindy wasn't amused. "I can't believe you did that," she yelled. "We came here for a civilized chat and you acted like savages. You didn't even give him a chance. You might have liked him if you did." "I gave him a chance," I countered. "I didn't damage him, so he's got a head start when he sees me again. Let it go." "And Cindy, want to catch a movie?" I asked Olivia. After cleaning up, we changed and took a stroll. Later, we endured a movie Olivia adored but I loathed, then grabbed wings. Returning home, Cindy was gone, perhaps due to a hospital emergency. Friday night, I treated Allison to dinner and dancing. My conscience was clear. My marriage was done. Allison was a fantastic dancer, and we had a blast. Amidst the fun, Allison confessed a long-time crush on me. "I've been scared of you since you turned 15, I joked. "You know I'd never hurt you," she assured me, nuzzling my chest. "That could be you, Eric," she hinted. "I'm honored, Allie," I replied, but admitted feeling upset. She understood, and I drove her home, where we shared a passionate kiss. Feeling rejuvenated, I ignored Cindy's attempts to start an argument and went to bed content. Saturday morning, I lingered in bed, contemplating the day ahead. Eventually, I rose and Cindy brewed coffee while I enjoyed a brownie in a cup. She insisted we talk, but I declined, knowing it would only fuel my anger. Instead, I asked where she wanted the divorce papers delivered, as my lawyer would have them ready Monday. "I'm tearing up these papers," she declared. "You do want a divorce," I countered, highlighting her action since getting involved with Pierce. She admitted to second thoughts, claiming she didn't anticipate my reaction. "You should have," I retorted. I started mowing the lawn while she observed, and Olivia joined us for a swim later. Afterward, I showered, put on my swim trunks, grabbed some beers, and headed to Olivia's place. We engaged in water fights, sat poolside with beers, and enjoyed some father-daughter time. With Cindy on my mind, I sought distraction by cooking dinner for Cecilia and Samantha upon Cecilia's approval. I showcased my culinary skills, impressing them with a chocolate cake. They felt like old friends, and conversation flowed effortlessly. Cecilia suggested a walk, and as we strolled, she held my hand. Despite her sweetness, memories of walks with Cindy surfaced, saddening me. Cecilia noticed my mood and asked if I was okay. I confided in her about Cindy's affair, expressing disbelief at her justification for it. "Oh my God," Cecilia gasped in response. "I'm sorry, Eric, but she seems foolish. How long have you been married?" she asked. 27 years, I replied, feeling unsure if I'd been blind or if she'd suddenly changed. "I needed to get away from her, and I lashed out at you. I'm sorry," she said. "Nonsense," I reassured her. "You can rely on me anytime. I really like you, Eric. What's your plan?" At this rate, I'm considering divorce, I confessed. She doesn't see anything wrong with her actions, and I can't stay married to that. Me neither. I'm so sorry, Eric, she empathized. It's not just now that it's bothering me, I confessed. Being with you and Samantha makes me feel like there's a normal place in the world where I belong. Thank you, Cecilia. She hugged me tightly, promising support. I'll never forget what you did for Grandma. Just let me know when you've sorted it out, okay? Then I'll have something to tell you. We strolled and chatted for 2 hours, often sitting on benches. Occasionally, Cecilia would nestle close, her small hand in mine. I discovered her mother battled Medicaid dependence, leading to her demise from hepatitis 5 years ago. Since then, Cecilia had lived with Samantha, her mother's pass away, leaving her in Samantha's care. The slim young man I met, Ty, was her cousin, whose mother suffered a similar fate. Ty, as suspected, was gay and frequented Samantha's place despite having his own apartment. Despite Cecilia's charm and wit, my frustration hindered any romantic notions. Returning, Samantha offered coffee, and we conversed before I left. At home, Olivia recounted her date as Cindy joined us. Olivia, however, fell silent, glaring at Cindy. Interested in your daughter's life? You won't be in it for long, Olivia retorted. Perhaps you should go comfort Pierce while we discuss family matters. Enraged, Cindy accused us of selfishness, lamenting her unmet needs. Cindy, you seem focused solely on your own needs, I said. We're going out to dinner. Where? She asked. Just Livy and I replied. You can see Pierce. She screamed as we left. Back home, Livy and I played Trivial Pursuit while Cindy mocked us. On Monday, I went to work as usual. Returning, Cindy had prepared dinner. Despite her efforts, we mostly ignored her. Later, I met Allison at the bar and we played pool. Olivia called, urging me to meet her at the Riverside Hotel, citing urgency without explanation. Allison joined us as we arrived. Across the street, Olivia's dart caught my eye. She ushered Allison into the car and informed us about Cindy's rendezvous with Pierce. We debated the situation. Allison deemed it reckless, while I preferred ignorance. Olivia suggested using the evidence as leverage in the divorce. Eventually, we reached a consensus. Approaching the counter, I inquired about Cindy's room, stating urgency. With the key card in hand, we approached the door, camera ready. Inside, Cindy and Pierce were caught in the act. Cindy protested, blaming me for her actions. Allison greeted Cindy, implying some women prefer weak men, I said. She favors strength, like mine. Cindy erupted, demanding Allison release my hand. We left, and I shut the door. Back in the truck, I felt disoriented. Allison drove, Olivia trailing us to Freddy's. Over drinks, they noticed my silence and offered reassurance. Allison hinted at game-changing news for the next day's meeting with my dad. Stepping out with these two beauties uplifted me. Returning Allison to the bar, I headed home. Olivia awaited me, and we conversed. When Cindy arrived later, she complained about her credit cards. I explained our financial separation and the consequences of her refusal to sign divorce papers, hinting at a compromising video. You idiot, she yelled. How do I replace the papers? Not my problem, I replied. I've set up a meeting with a realtor to value the house. You can buy me out or vice versa, but buying me out might strain your finances. I'm not doing anything until the divorce is final, she insisted. Olivia corrected her, stating it could be quick with a simplified process. You earn 3 times what I do, she argued. You should pay alimony. I have a video suggesting otherwise, I countered. Messing with me could cost you your job and license, I warned. Eventually, she relented, signing the papers and agreeing to a hearing. Despite her daily protests of love, as the hearing neared, she grew increasingly desperate. 3 days prior, she left a note requesting a discussion upon her return from work. She hurried upstairs for a shower, then returned with beers for all of us. Nervous, she gathered us around the kitchen bar to talk while she prepared food. After a hesitant start, she confessed. Eric, Olivia, I owe you both an apology, she began. I've made grave mistakes. I never imagined things would spiral like this. I misjudged you, Eric. I expected your understanding and support, but now I see my error. I was wrong. I disagreed, insisting it wasn't solely my failure to understand or support you, I interjected. The problem isn't just your actions. It's the breach of trust. Remember our vows? You promised to forsake all others. This deceit goes beyond lack of understanding, Cindy. It's about dishonesty and betrayal. Oh, spare me. Now you're repulsed, she retorted. And what about all your time with Allison? I'm not oblivious to you and her. You're clueless, I snapped. I never touched that woman. But don't think the thought didn't cross my mind. What stopped me? My commitment to you. I loved you completely. The idea of betraying you kept me from even considering a relationship, let alone closeness with anyone else. I've been faithful to you emotionally and physically all this time. It's because of you. I don't buy it, Cindy countered. I believe him, Olivia intervened. You're the one I don't trust, always playing the sufferer, Cindy lashed out. You've always resented me and sided with him. That's rubbish, Olivia fired back. You're just angry at everyone else because of your own mistakes. And now you're suddenly sorry. For what? Getting caught. What's the fuss? You're clueless, Cindy repeated. Actually, I'm well aware, Olivia smirked. It's pathetic, Mom. And you left Dad for this? I didn't throw anything away, Cindy wept. I never wanted any of this. I don't want a divorce. I love you, Eric. Can't you see? No. I see a self-absorbed woman putting her needs above all else, I said. Are we done? No, Cindy sobbed. What can I do to fix things? I'll do anything. Please don't leave me, Eric. But let Dad speak for himself. Eric, she pleaded with me. Fine, no more deceit, no more sneaking around, no more dating other men, no more lies, I stated. Oh, wait, you've already done all that. The ship has sailed, Cindy. We've had our good times. I'm not out for revenge. I'll split our assets evenly, except Olivia. Thankfully, she's grown now. She stays with me. I don't need half of everything. I just need you, Eric, she said, her voice hollow. 3 days later, the divorce was finalized, and Olivia and I relocated. We found a cozy 3-bedroom apartment near Olivia's hospital and my workplace. After furnishing it, it felt like home. As I listed the house for sale, Cindy reached her breaking point. Returning from work, I found her leaning against my truck. What's your plan, Cindy? I asked. Where will I go? She pleaded. Eric, enough is enough. Can't we move past this? Are you really selling the house, or is this a lesson? She implored. I've learned my lesson. Can't you forgive me? I forgive you, I replied. Now please step aside so I can go home. She retreated to her car, and I headed to our new place. An hour later, Jack Eric called. We've got a crucial meeting tomorrow at 10, he informed me. It's time to get back on track. Allison filled me in on your situation. I need to know you're handling it. I assured him I was. Surprisingly, I was at peace. Looking back, it seemed almost inevitable. It was surprising how long it lasted. Cindy's moral compass was off, and it had always been that way. Fear of losing me kept her in line, especially after the George Cooper incident, which stuck with her for 27 years. But eventually, her own needs took precedence, and she began acting on them. I realized I'd wasted time. At 46, I needed to plan the rest of my life. I called Allison, but she had plans. So, I invited Samantha and Cecilia to dinner at Gino's, a nice Italian restaurant. I drove them there in my car, not wanting to take a truck to such a place. They arrived at my new house, impressed by it. After a glass of wine, I gave them a tour. When it was time to go, I led them to the garage. Cecilia got excited, asking about a car. That's quite a car. What is it? She exclaimed. It's a 1951 Mercury, I replied. She eagerly asked for a ride. What's under the hood? She inquired. Not a cheesy 302, I assured her. It's a Windsor 351 stroker, 408, making about 540 torque. You're not a gearhead, are you? She asked, taking the keys. I like hot dogs, I joked as she grabbed them from me. It took her a moment to notice the lack of door handles, but with a press of the remote, the doors swung open. We hopped in, and she ignited the engine. The garage filled with a roar, and she lit up like a Christmas tree. Her eyes sparkled, hair tousled, radiating pure joy. Spotting the nitrous oxide switch, she couldn't contain her excitement. I've got to try this, she exclaimed eagerly. Without hesitation, she revved the engine, sending smoke billowing as we peeled onto the street. Samantha squealed, and I quickly secured her seatbelt. Me too, Cecilia chuckled nervously, turning to me. Terrified, I admitted. Yet she proved herself a skilled driver, cruising slightly above the speed limit in the fast lane. As we hit an empty stretch of highway, she shot me a glance, eyebrow raised. Catching Samantha's grin, I urged, Hang on tight, Cecilia. Hit it. With a surge, we were pinned back in our seats as she engaged the nitrous. The rush was exhilarating as we soared before returning to Earth. Cecilia's gleaming smile and jittery excitement were infectious. Thank you, Eric, she beamed. I've always dreamed of this. Anything for my girl, I replied, earning a glance that set my heart racing. Dinner was fantastic. After bidding them farewell, I arranged to take Cecilia to the lake on Saturday, despite her initial hesitation. Olivia arrived just then, and though something felt off, their brief exchange gave no clue. We waved goodbye as they drove off. "She's the sweetest person I've ever seen," she confessed. "Age bothers me a bit, Daddy." "I'm still fit," I reassured her. "Yeah, but her arm is broken," she teased. I chuckled. "I think Samantha might be too tall for me." I squeezed Olivia affectionately. "I love you, baby," I whispered. "Me too," she replied. Back home, she shared details of her date before we turned in for the night. The next morning blindsided me. There was a Nordic-looking man in the office, flanked by lawyers, Jack, Allison, all looking serious. Jack announced, "We're selling the business. You'll be president, Eric." He handed me a folder of documents. "What about Allie?" I inquired. She beamed. "I'll take your old position." "I'll consider it," I said. I had 2 weeks to decide. That evening, I treated Allison to dinner followed by dancing, and we had a blast. As we sat down after a lively dance, Allison's gaze sharpened. Following her line of sight, I spotted Cindy dragging along an unwilling companion. Seating herself opposite us, Cindy's anger flared as Allison greeted her. "Allison, it's not your place to throw around accusations. Given your history, moving in with a married man, I doubt you're in a position to judge," Cindy retorted. "Well, Cindy, if memory serves, I don't date married men," Allison shot back. "And as for Niditch, I'm not sure about his marital status, but I'm sure you're well acquainted with marital drama," she added. Cindy continued, blaming me for various misfortunes. "You sent her that video, Eric, wrecking a marriage, and you likely had a hand in getting us fired," she accused. "Frankly, I'm relieved," I responded. "I'm no longer married to a cheater, and as for Niditch, his problems are his own doing, not mine or Allison's." "Olivia hasn't spoken to me since you left," Cindy said. "Did you have to involve her too?" I retorted. "That's your burden," I replied. "I haven't spoken ill of you. We've moved on from your actions. If you want to talk to her, call her. But she's blocked me," she snapped. "That's not my concern," I replied. "Maybe she's content. It's time for you to leave." I didn't offer her a seat. Cindy left hastily, and I didn't mind as long as she was gone. I stood up and pulled Allison into another dance. The song shifted to a slow one, and she held me close. "I'm sorry, Eric," she whispered. "It's not your fault she ruined the evening." She gazed up at me. "Who says it's ruined?" she asked. I looked at her in my arms. "I wasn't joking about loving you," she confessed. "I never thought I'd have the chance." "I love you too," I replied. "You're my closest friend. You wouldn't have dinner with me if it wasn't business," I teased. She chuckled. "Yeah, but I wasn't sure about myself with you," I chuckled. "Honestly, I didn't trust you either," I admitted. "I know you, Allison. You'd devour me and leave nothing behind." "You're mistaken," she countered. "I've been searching for someone like you my whole life, but you've set the bar so high it's hard to find someone like you." "I'd never want to hurt you, Eric," she assured. "I think you've built up an idealized version of me in your head," I responded. "I'm 10 years older despite your youthful appearance. I'm laid back, a bit tough, and somewhat damaged." "I'm well aware," she replied. "We've worked together for years. Sometimes you frustrate me with your stubbornness, but your willingness to protect those you love is incredibly attractive. Deep down, you're still a child. Lately, you've had to mature a lot. You don't seem bothered by Cecilia's age." "Take me home, Eric," she requested. We arrived at her house. Things got carnal, and eventually she started crying. It caught me off guard. I'd never seen her cry before. "I am who I am," she gasped. "I was meant to be like this. The only man I ever truly desired was someone I couldn't have. I could be anything for you. I promise, Eric, if you give me a chance, you won't regret it. I trust you, baby," I assured her. "I've never seen you damage anyone you care about. I trust you. Let's give it a try, all right? Will you go out with me?" I've forgotten how it's supposed to work. I never imagined I'd need to know again. "I understand," she murmured. "Don't worry. I'll guide you through it. I have a meeting out of town tomorrow afternoon, but I'll be available as soon as I return." I thought I was completely drained, but she proved me wrong at 5:30 in the morning. Afterward, I showered and hurried home to change. Olivia caught me on my way out and asked to talk later that night. "Sure, baby." I kissed her cheek, grabbed my bagel, and left. When Allison arrived at work, she caught me staring and whispered, "Keep that thought. When I return, we'll close the door and, well, you know." I glanced around cautiously. "Marla might overhear," I warned. Thankfully, my assistant wasn't at his desk. After Allison left, work fell into its usual rhythm, and I departed at 4:30, feeling exhausted and eager for a quick nap. As I entered, Olivia had just arrived home. After changing, the doorbell rang, and Cecilia greeted me with a hug as she rushed inside. "Care for a drink?" I offered. Opting for a beer, she joined me on the couch, snuggling close. "Eric, there's something on my mind," she began. I thought, life's becoming complicated. Despite enjoying Cecilia's company and appreciating her gratitude for my help, I knew there were hurdles, especially with Allison. I waited for her to continue. "I'm not sure how to say this," she hesitated. "I'm thankful for everything you've done for Grandma and us. I know you like me, Eric, I've noticed, but I don't think it's feasible, and I don't want either of us to get hurt." I hugged her tightly. "I understand," I reassured. "I'm honored by your feelings. I value our friendship deeply and hope it continues. But there's someone special in my life, someone I truly want to be with." "I'm really thrilled about it," she exclaimed. "It simplifies everything. I think I'll be a part of your life for a long time, Eric, and I sort of have someone too." "Anyone familiar?" I inquired. "Kind of," Olivia interjected from the doorway. "Mind if I tag along with you and Cecilia to the lake this Saturday?" I must have appeared bewildered. My eyes darted between them, and Olivia burst into laughter, joining me on the other side. "I had no idea you two clicked like that," I whispered. They both found it amusing. "We're both into guys too," Cecilia disclosed. When we met at the hospital, it was instant connection. Olivia called and asked me out. After 2 dates, I felt like I found my other half. She feels the same way about me. "Don't you love that, Eric?" I embraced them both tightly. "Not in the slightest," I reassured. "The two women I adore also love each other. What's not to love? I'm genuinely happy for both of you. Now I'll have 2 stunning companions with me at the lake this Saturday." "I'm sure there will be 3, Olivia added. "I invited Allison." "I'm surrounded by formidable women," I joked. "Yes, and isn't it wonderful?" my daughter chimed in. "You're going to be very happy." Allison returned home, and I spent Thursday and Friday nights with her, feeling like a zombie at work. Despite Cindy's interference, Olivia was right. I was genuinely happy. Cindy's constant calls and pestering of Olivia ceased after Olivia took matters into her own hands. Olivia informed me that Cindy had relocated to Oklahoma City and was working in private practice, which suited me just fine. After about 3 months, Allison's persistence paid off, and I moved in with her. She was everything I had ever dreamed of. 8 months later, I invited Allison, Olivia, and Cecilia over for dinner on a Friday night, already having made my decision and planned something special. Following dinner, I signaled the waiter, who returned with 4 slices of cake, each topped with a small swan figurine holding a ribbon with a ring attached. "The diamonds seem a little dim to me, with 3 of them surrounding a large square emerald," I remarked. Allison covered her mouth with her hand, her eyes glistening. "Allison, will you marry me?" I asked. "Oh my God, yes," she exclaimed, practically jumping into my lap. I knew the best part of my life was yet to come. On Monday, I played golf with Jack. After making a great shot, he joked about bribing Allison to wear me down. I laughed, telling him I only got better with age. As Jack aimed his tee shot into the trees, I teased him, saying he'd have to kiss his birdie goodbye. He smiled and conceded that I was lucky.